Welcome, everybody, to Youngstown Studio in this episode of Behind the Scenes. I'm BJ Lisko, filling in for Joe Danyi, and with us today, we've got Jimmy Sutman, owner of all things, or CEO, president. I'm not sure what the title is, but all things Purple Cat, Golden String, and Isle, man. Jimmy, thanks for being here.
Oh, my gosh, my pleasure. It's been an enjoyable day, brother. Peaceful for me. I like it.
So, Jimmy, tell us, give us a little bit of a background on the Purple Cat and Golden String and Isle, and kind of how you came to become so involved with sort of adults with disabilities and helping those folks out.
Thanks. I met a guy by the name of Joe Gallagher, and Joe was an adult with a disability. He had Down syndrome, and I met him while working at the Masco workshops in the mid-'90s. And at the time, my original degree was in journalism, so I was fortunate to land a job at WKBN. So I was working in the afternoons at WKBN, but needed to get out of my parents' basement. And so I took a job working at the sheltered workshops. They were desperate for men. It's always seems in our field, it always seems to be a little harder to find men than women. And so they hired me, and I met this Mr. Joe Gallagher, and BJ did nothing to warrant his love, and but almost immediately he was my shadow. I was his guy. And really, I worked then. I ended up getting a full-time job there. My work with the disabled kind of trumped my work that I was doing on the journalism side. And I did that for about 4 years. Joe is a great example. His family said to me, hey, man, we don't want to talk about problems at the day program. We got bigger problems. Joe's lived with one brother for 2 weeks and then another brother for 2 weeks for 21 years, and he's getting unruly. He's getting older. We're older. We don't know, if we can continue to take care of him. And I thought, maybe I should try to tackle this bigger problem. So I'm back to YSU, took a couple courses, got a license through the state, and bought a house in Struthers. And Joe Gallagher moved in, and very quickly the county moved in a couple other folks, and that's really how it started. Then other people were interested, and we took over a female home where there had been some abuse with the other provider, so we took that over. All of a sudden, then there were 2 houses, and this is through ISLE, which stands for Iron and String Life Enhancement. Mr. Joe Gallagher loved to iron clothes. So he's the iron. String was Bradley Huffman, a friend of mine who passed away, who was on the autism spectrum that always had a little ball of string. So anyway, we started ISLE, and then we realized Joe Gallagher needed a day program, so we started the Purple Cat. We realized Joe Gallagher wanted to go to Cleveland Indians games, obviously the Guardians now, and we would get free tickets through the Cleveland Indians Foundation if we were a 501c3, so we started Golden String for that reason. And so, I kind of direct all 3 of those agencies, but Mr. Joe Gallagher was the inspiration for all of them.
I mean, did you find, when you guys started, did you find that it was like that was an issue, as far as that was a wider issue, I guess, than you thought, as far as, adults with disabilities and sort of the opportunities that they have and some of the living situations? Did you find that was like a really widespread problem when you started?
I think, our area was a little bit behind, but I say that in a good way. When I say behind, meaning, there were other areas in the state, the more populous counties, that had a lot more residential options for adults with disability. Here, we're so ethnic, and it's a beautiful ethnicity. There's so many different ethnicities, and it was just, culture. Folks with disabilities lived with us, good, bad, ugly, and that's the way it was. There weren't many options. But when I started back again in the mid-'90s there, the government was running a lot of these programs, and they didn't want to run them anymore. Competition is good, it's better service, and so my timing was good. And, we were able to pick up a lot of folks. A lot of folks said, wow, I could still pick up my loved one anytime I want. I could visit when I want, but yet I don't have the responsibility of them all the time. And, it's a pretty good situation. State of Ohio is great, too. We have our own cabinet position. There is an Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities, so there's funding specifically for folks with disabilities, such as Joe. Most states don't have that. It's a luxury. So that helps me with my business and our folks with disabilities. But I think our area was a little bit behind. I mean, everything's caught up now. But there was some good timing involved, and the need is just huge. Now, back when I was working with Joe, there wasn't much on the autism spectrum. Now there's lots of numbers. And so a lot of our folks, a lot of our programs are filled with people on the spectrum, which is lovely. It's just different. So we're glad to be there for them.
I mean, we're going to walk through, the Purple Cat farm, and also, you have a music studio, downtown here as well too. But how many different properties, are kind of under the Purple Cat Golden String Isle banner that you guys manage around here?
Our crown jewel probably is the farm out in Coatesville. It's on Route 422, kind of Categorner to the big church, the old drive-in out there. And we have 53 acres out there. When I say 53 acres, half of that is Purple Cat, a day program. We parceled off 33 acres to Golden String, which is a 501c3, and that's where we're building our GabbaCamp. Downtown, though, our main office is located at 32 Fifth Avenue, which is across from the WRTA. That was a real labor of love. We wanted to be downtown. We've always had our office downtown. Our former office was 12 South Phelps Street. That is where we have Golden String Radio now. We have a Purple Cat Day program there. Right next door, we rent a little space is where our Ferel Cats, that's our band, that's where they practice. We also have a building on the east side called the Pearl Street Mission, which is the day program for 50 adults with disabilities. And then those are the ones that remain that we own. We also own 107 West Federal, which is on Federal. And right now, and you may have heard some of the contractors talking to me, BJ, earlier today, we're renovating that as a full, big music program for our folks because they're clamoring to get more involved in the music, which I know you can understand. We both share quite a passion for music. That's our footprint downtown, and we're delighted with it. We hope to be there for a long, long time.
So we're going to see some of the progress that's being made at GabbaCamp, but talk a little bit about that if you would, just here real briefly before we get into the video here, and kind of how that's come along, and what you guys kind of still need.
It's through Golden String, so it's a 501c3, so that enables us to write a lot of grants. So we've been writing grants. Our grant writer's name's Flavio Aiken, and Flavio has really been working hard. Everything from government grants to foundation grants to assistance from financial institutions. We found our financial institutions to be a huge help in our area. And just donations from individual people and corporations. There's just been, overwhelming support, which I'm, humbled by.
This episode was brought to you by Youngstown Computer, the Valley's technology company. We appreciate the loyalty you all have shown to us over the years, and it's our promise to serve all of the technology needs of the Valley. Call 330-259-7278. We have both home and business services available, everything from repair, installations, and new equipment. You can improve your Wi-Fi and have your technology serve you better. Call 330-259-7278, or you can schedule your appointment right now on youngstowncomputer.com and look for the red Book Now button.
Our goal, again, follows Mr. Joe Gallagher, and a lot of our folks with disabilities. They really don't have a vacation spot, or, the ones that live at home with their parents, the parents don't get a break, a lot. So this would be a campground that serves as a respite spot, and not just a campground. We've been using the word resort. Why can't, a camp be a resort for adults with disabilities? There aren't many of these that exist anywhere in the United States. We've been marketing it nationally, so I don't see why we couldn't fly somebody into the Pittsburgh airport, even if they utilize a wheelchair. We can pick them up at the airport, put them in one of our Golden String vans, bring them to GabbaCamp for a week, and do the opposite, at the end of the week. So we've got big plans, and we've already been marketing it nationally. So we've had some interest from individuals and groups, and that's been exciting. It's something that I never really thought of. We envision ourselves at Isle, Golden String, Purple Cat as problem solvers. So this is a whole new realm of problems. Transportation, vacations, leisure. How do we pass medications to this person? Do I go visit them beforehand and do assessments? It's exciting stuff, and it's kind of cutting edge, but I think we're up to the task. To get to the part of what we've done so far, we have 5 cabins built. they're unfinished inside. I've been lobbying to the community, any trees, plants that people have, even in their own yards. We love the idea of incorporating things that are already established from other people into our world, into our campground. I'm sure there'll be other things that we collect, and as far as donations go, right now, we're looking for monetary donations. We have dreams of a swimming pool. We have a lodge to be built. There's a lot of infrastructure. We've already spent over $1 million on infrastructure. We have the 5 cabins that were sponsored by corporations or individuals. What a blessing. So now things are really starting to happen. Lots of pavement we need. We anticipate a ton of folks that utilize wheelchairs to be at the camp. So we got to make sure everything is level, everything is safe. These wonderful new power wheelchairs get from point A to point B faster than you and I walk it. So everything has to be safe. But it's exciting, that we have structure now, BJ. So we are. I'm very enthused.
Well, good. Well, we're going to take a tour here of first of the Purple Cat Ranch, and then obviously the music studio that you were talking about downtown. So we'll let's roll some footage here.
All right.
So yeah, just a beautiful property you have out there, in Coatesville.
Thank you. Yeah, we've been working on the animals. Those are my babies, peacocks especially. You can see we hung some mirrors there. They love to look at themselves in the mirror. We free range the peacocks, and we had some people that were distraught about that because they felt that was cruel. But a peacock adapts to its environment very well, and they just grew a big fur coat for winter, which they're shedding now. One of my clients calls it the courtship dance. It's that time of year, mating season. So, their full spread is on display, and we have goats and chickens, alpacas, which are such peaceful creatures. I don't know. I feel a special bond with them. They are just, totally non-violent and aggressive. And the pack mentality is a beautiful thing to watch, how they all work in unison with one another.
How much of a bond do you think the clients have, with the animals on the farm?
Oh, I'm always looking for ways to pay our folks, and this is a beautiful way. People say to me, are you going to kill chickens and eat them? Well, we're going to eat the eggs, but we're not going to kill them and eat them. We have pigs. We're not going to do that with the pigs. The money is spent on caring for them well, kind of honoring them. And so we do. We take some new animals, and, it's a good thing for the community. A lot of community members come out and see them. It's a source of pride for our adults with disabilities. And I'm proud. We take good care of these creatures. They are, quite a gift. And so we take it very seriously in improving their lives. But it gives me, I have 30 adults with disabilities Monday through Saturday. They get paid at least minimum wage, to work with these creatures. And that's an important thing in what we do.
Yeah, how much, talk a little bit about how much work is involved with, sort of the upkeep of all these, all these animals, because you have obviously several, like you said, and all different species, all different kinds.
Well,
so,
let's put it that I couldn't do it myself. It would be a full-time job if I was doing it, on my own. But, God surrounds me with people better than me and that have, a real acumen in farming and husbandry and taking care of creatures, just kind people. So, yeah, there's upkeep, there's landscaping involved. Somebody's got to cut the grass. We are very involved with, keeping native species or reintroducing them. We do composting. We're kind of really tied to the earth. So, having these wonderful workers, to assist me with it, it's great.
How are, talk a little bit too about the Purple Cat Farm. How were you kind of able to acquire that land? When did you first sort of see it, and when did you kind of see the potential in it?
Jill P., my wife, gets the honors there. We would drive by that property, and she would say, "That's the property. Someday I want that property." I'd be like, "You're nuts. That thing's huge. It's an old car lot. What the heck would we ever do with that property? And it's not for sale." And then one day there was a for sale sign, and of course we stopped, and it was way too much money. So I was like, "See, we can't afford that. It's an old car lot. It costs too much money." But we bought the estate of Dave McCombs. Dave was probably quite a character. I never met him, but I did meet his wife, Doris Jean, who is a lovely person. And she called us up one day and said, I love your vision. I could probably sell it for more, but let's work something out. And so that's how, it came to be. And we've had that for over 16 years. And so, the paths that you're seeing, the pond, it was a lot of cleanup. I mean, this is 15 years of keeping up with it and preparing it for our crown jewel, which is the GabbaCamp. We both fancy taking the clients on trips and vacations and getting breaks and seeing how staff act with folks in leisure activity situations and more animals and studying the earth a little bit more. Dave Blasco, who's the president of the Golden String Board, said, Jim, how can you put a price on what's it worth to get people that sit in wheelchairs all day long, into the woods? And he said the answer is priceless. Mm-hmm. It's priceless. When I was lamenting and worrying about costs for GabbaCamp, as I still do. But I pray about it a lot, so I shouldn't be afraid of it. Anyway, things, have a way of working out when you put good people together, and they put you in contact with other good people. Again, one of the blessings of our area is our swirl of ethnicity and this ribbon of kindness. And, we're happy that ribbon, flaps over us.
This episode was brought to you by Youngstown Computer, the Valley's technology company. We appreciate the loyalty you all have shown to us over the years, and it's our promise to serve all of the technology needs of the Valley. Call 330-259-7278. We have both home and business services available, everything from repair, installations, and new equipment. You can improve your Wi-Fi and have your technology serve you better. Call 330-259-7278, or you can schedule your appointment right now on youngstowncomputer.com and look for the red Book Now button.
We're watching this this video, and we're shooting this, the beginning of April here. But I remember playing a birthday party show out there years ago. It was in the middle of the summer, and I just remember that was the first time I'd ever been to the property, and I just remember how breathtaking the property was and just how gorgeous it is. I mean, it's this film in April. I mean, it's very beautiful here. It doesn't quite do it justice when everything's full bloom and it's in the middle of summer. So I encourage anybody, can people come take a visit? I mean, are they able to?
Yeah, people can come take a visit. We're right up the road from the Four Seasons Flea Market, so it's funny. Wednesdays and Sundays seem to be our busiest times, but on the weekends I'm often doing the farm chores and assisting our folks with disabilities. So yes, I do accept visitors. Our employees, their families are having parties out there. This path and this bridge are part of a half mile. If you stay on the blacktop, it's 1/2 of a mile around. So it's a nice place to walk and contemplate and see what we're up to. We do tours all the time. So, anyone's welcome to get a hold of us via the website, which is easy, GabbaCamp.com. And, be happy to give you tours and explain to you what we're up to and visit with some of our folks.
And what's this we're walking up to right here?
On the right there is the Serenity Garden. Mm-hmm. We have the ashes of 3 of our friends in that pond, and so their families like to come, and now we have a little spot where they could reflect and be away, but can jump right back on the path and be with people if they want to. Our folks will come out and enjoy their lunches or just get away a little bit. That's one of the big things that I think separates us from a lot of people that do what we do. It's called dignity of risk. My philosophy is, BJ, you and I tonight could step off a curb and get hit by a bus, or, life is full of risk. And I think sometimes folks with disabilities are put on a shelf and, you got to stay in the house. You can't go outside. You can't go into the woods. There's wolves in the woods and poison ivy is going to get you and whatever. Well, it's the same thing with you and I. Mm-hmm. So, a lot of our folks have the freedom, even though they're at a day program, i.e. the Purple Cat, to walk around, the lake. We saw Darren real quickly over there. Darren was fishing on his own, and he's welcome to do so. It pleases me that he doesn't have to be eyes on, someone watching him every single moment of the day. Now, we have folks that require that, for their own safety. But we have a lot of folks that, everyone thought, the community thought they had to be eyes on, but we allow them to walk around the lake, walk around the property, greet people. Billy, who brought you to me, and he knew exactly where to find me. And that's a blessing, and it's fun. It's fun to see what our folks can do when you take some of the shackles off of them. There's my $150,000 hole, BJ. If you can't tell in my tone, I'm still a little bit bitter about that, but I understand why. It's just, part of this process has been quite a learning curve for Jimmy Sutman, because I'm learning how much things cost and why you need to do them, and I am a big proponent of our Mother Earth. So if I'm protecting her with that $150,000 hole, again, it's probably worth it.
So what's the purpose of the hole?
It's a detention pond.
Okay.
So someday, we're planning for the future when we have a parking lot and such, there was an oil spill, it would go into the detention pond, filter it before it goes into my pond, into that creek, which eventually wraps up to McKelvey Lake, which we want to protect. And here's our cabins. And you can see the outsides are almost complete. There's still some fascia work. That's the back door. That cabin right there will have a deck overlooking the lake here. And you can see there's our pond, lake. Keeps wanting to get bigger and bigger because of our climate change, more rain that we're getting. So you can see here, these two cabins that face that lake will have decks on the back, but there's 5 total. There's two different sizes, a larger size for people that may have larger wheelchairs or require, more turning radius. As we step up here, you can see the 5 cabin area and the plan is to, you'd enter right here, to the left of that van. You drive up, past my detention pond, and we'll have a swimming pool, a lodge, an amphitheater, parking. And then someday we'd love to have equine therapy. We've graduated from the big alpacas, and we have donkeys over on the other side of that bridge. We would love to have horses. And as I age, I'll be 51 this year, I really want to look into horses myself and taking care of horses, and having folks, that are physically disabled be able to ride those horses, and learn from the horses and maybe obtain some peace from those horses. Here we go inside. This is one that has a larger footprint. As you walk in here, there'll be a table. Right there will be a little kitchenette behind, on the front end of that bathroom. Couch will be right there, pull-out couch. The cabins will, serve, if it's somebody that has extreme behavioral, issues, he may be in there with one staff. But we could probably have, if it's a camping week for children, we probably could have 8 to 10, campers in there in bunk beds. So we're excited. And I do envision that. I think that it's not going to be solely a camp for adults with disabilities. I do think that there will be grief camps, children that have been exposed to grief, or children that have been exposed to violence of some sort. Maybe there'll be a special week just for those types of things. There might be weeks that are specific to a specific disability. I have a good friend, his name's Scotty, and he sits in a wheelchair, and he's smarter than I am, so he's just physically disabled, and he dreams of finding a mate. Well, maybe we have a Scotty Mincher week where we bring in, Scotty would love it if it was only women, but if we bring in men and women of the same disability type, maybe it'll be a special week for those folks that every year, that same week, they know that they could come to camp and we can support them with our own staff. So, there's a lot to think about, and I think that requires really getting to know our folks with disabilities and what their, desires are. So all of that, I'm looking forward to it, and we're blessed. I again, have people that are better than me helping me out, and there's starting to be a buzz. Everyone's starting to feel some excitement because of it.
How many people work for Purple Cat, Golden String, and Isle?
Golden String, because, we only really have, it's a 501c3. I'm a non-paid director. We have volunteers, but we probably have 25 to 30 employees that pick up folks and take them to leisure activities or to their jobs or to Golden String Radio or to medical appointments, Cleveland Clinic, that type of stuff. Now, I own Purple Cat because we run, over 30 residential sites and 6-day programs. We have over 300 employees associated with those organizations. So really, and then we probably are one of the biggest employers of adults with disabilities. On top of that, we probably have, 60, 70, 80 folks with disabilities that get paid at least minimum wage. So we're proud of that.
And yeah, you guys are all over. I mean, I see the Purple Cat vans, taking folks to and from places and activities and stuff. I mean, all the time. So I mean, it's almost if not daily, it's every couple of days. You'll see them out and about, which is
my
awesome.
insurance company reminds me, BJ, that's my greatest risk. We have, I think we have 2 folks that drive, out of a roster of 350. So yes, we're on the roads a lot. Well, and the farm is an interesting location because it's in Coatesville, which is Mahoning County. It's 1.5 miles from Mercer and Lawrence County in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania line's right there. And then Hubbard is really only a mile behind us, so that's Trumbull County. You cross 616, you're on the east side of Youngstown. On the other side of 616 is Camel. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we have all these great communities right there. And so it's, it's for me to go pick up an individual with disabilities in New Wilmington, I can do that quicker than to get to Austintown. Mm-hmm. But we pick up people out Austintown way, North Jackson way. We're just starting transportation in Columbiana County. So yeah, it doesn't matter where you live. Your ride might be a little longer, but again, dignity of risk. You and I, when we want to go to see a concert in Pittsburgh or Cleveland, we got to drive a little bit more. It's all about what you want to do. And here we are. There's 422 to the right. This is the front and what used to be the old Carriage Motors on the left, which is now our main programming building for the Purple Cat. Above, straight to the left of that group walking, is our goat barn, and we have pigs in there, and lots of creatures. It's nice to see the grass green, BJ.
Finally.
There you go. It was a bizarre structure. You could see on the left and right of that, those were where they had classic car showrooms that we turned into classrooms for our folks. There she is, 4738 McCartney Road, 422. And there's our Century Billy to the right. And here's a group of folks. There's another Billy to my left who's from Western PA, but it was a nice day. One of the first days of 60-degree weather, and so our folks, were clamoring to get outside, and I can't blame them. You picked a good day, BJ, because you got me outside instead of sitting in the office.
He was looking at the weather forecast. I'm like, oh, that's going to be good in the middle of next week. when we were setting this up last week, so yeah.
Funny, I see her waving at me, Arlise. And there's Philippe, the dog, who I say is the director of GabbaCamp currently, because we don't have one yet. We are going to be doing quite a bit of hiring for GabbaCamp, so that's an important thing to mention. I'm hoping that we get some wildly different resumes and things to get some of these employees going. The business plan is still in its infancy. I met with our board. It's a 501c3, and Dave Blasco, the president, so we got some ideas. Jill P. Says her salad days, her Rushmore was at Camp Fitch, and so she really has some great thoughts on camping. So yeah, we're excited about it. And this is just a small sample of our folks, Michael and Larry. I want to make sure I got in a picture of that. Jimmy right behind there. Jimmy behind Jimmy Sutman, Tony D. Yeah, part of the beauty of my job is I get to know these people. There's Tyler. Yeah, great people. Happy, a lot more happiness surrounds this group than typical folks in the community. That was a pavilion in the middle, just an open air pavilion that we wrote a grant for, so we were able to get all of those garage doors. All right, here we are, Golden String. We're transitioning. Golden String Radio is still part of the 501c3. We have both signs, the Purple Cat sign too, because we have a day program there. There's our studio there. They were busy doing their own shows. And some of our folks volunteer to do that. Some get paid to do their own radio shows, but they are professional DJs. They allow me to do my own show. I'm excited about that every week. But, just being immersed in music, what a great way to spend your day, Learning, they've taught me so much about the Dean Martins and Perry Comos of the world and, ethnic music. I've learned so much. The Dinos. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Dinos. Taught me so much about the Beatles. I've taken the clients to Graceland, so they taught me initially, so much about Elvis and Sun Records that I'm obsessive about it now. Stax Records, and heck, I got a Stax Records billboard painted on the side of my office downtown. I'm so addicted to that kind of music. Steve Cropper's a big hero of mine.
Nice.
So we have our own recording studio. Folks on the autism spectrum often want to go to another area, that is a little more peaceful and quiet away from the group. So we supply, areas like that. And like I said, as I mentioned, 107 West Federal, which is next across from V2, next to Prima. That's going to be our next big music studio because we have people not necessarily on a waiting list, but waiting to be more involved. And our band, the Ferel Cats, has been playing out in the community. We recently had a gig at the downtown Draft House. We have 6 or 7 shows already scheduled for this upcoming year. And our old candy store is where they've been practicing, and so here we are.
Yeah, I'm jealous. This is nicer than where my band practices. That's for sure.
Well, BJ, you're welcome to have we would love the Turbo lovers to come practice.
Yeah, right.
I'm a fan.
So it's very nice, and yeah, at the end of this, we're gonna show a clip of the Ferel Cats performing as well too. So yeah, we wanted to make sure to include them.
Yeah, and isn't it interesting how we just show up and didn't even ask, and a concert broke out.
They were ready. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I often walk into like a dance party on Tuesday mornings at 11 o'clock. I'm like, wow, this is the greatest.
Yeah, they were eager and ready to play, but that's awesome, man. Because I can't say I'm not the same way all the time too. If I got if I'm in my
you
house,
would fit right in, no doubt.
Walking my guitar, I gotta I gotta pick it up and play. That's what it's there for. But no, Jimmy, so we really appreciate you coming down. How can folks get in touch with you? How can they find you guys online?
Yeah, you're welcome to go through GabbaCamp.com. You can ask specifically for me. There's for more information. You hit this. Send us emails, whatever. I do get to see those. We are ardent in keeping track of that kind of stuff. You can buy T-shirts. You can buy honey. You can buy our cookbook. There's a lot of things that you can do to support us. Just ask questions. Again, I mentioned possible employment in the future. If you're interested in that kind of thing, we're always looking to employ folks. If you have family members that just might need an assessment, I'll gladly, free of charge. I went out yesterday to Warren and met this wonderful family and the most beautiful young girl with a disability called Rett syndrome. Haley was her name, and it was the best 2 hours of my month. So I love doing these assessments and meeting new people. That's one thing I tell my employees all the time: don't be boring, because our folks with disabilities are not boring. And so it just feeds off of that. More music, more activities, more trips, louder. It was pretty loud when we were listening to our Ferel Cats play. I mean, we just wanted to be expose people that don't normally get exposed to the way we live. You and I live pretty similar. We have the same likes and desires, so I want our folks with disabilities to share in that. So,
well, Jimmy, thank you so very much for coming down. We really appreciate it. And folks out there, please enjoy this performance here from the Ferel Cats, and we'll see you again next week.
All right, thank you.
Ready? Do it, Mark. Shut her down.